Dutroux didn't wait long to find a replacement for the two girls. On the 28th of May 1996, he kidnapped 12-year-old Sabine Dardenne on her way to school and locked her in his dungeon. For the next 3 months, Dutroux emotionally tortured Sabine by making her think she was in contact with her mother and father.
She wrote letters to her parents, but obviously he didn't send the letters. He read them. He used what was in the letters to manipulate her, yet she resisted. Despite everything, she did not create that attachment with him.
Dutroux was still on the hunt for more girls. On August the 9th, he abducted 14-year-old Laetitia Delay as she walked home from her local swimming pool, before taking her back to his Marcinelle home to join Sabine Dardenne in the underground dungeon. But Laetitia's kidnapping would be the first step in the dramatic downfall of Marc Dutroux.
By accident, it was an eyewitness who saw her being bundled into a van on that day and got part of the number plate.
The man had seen a suspicious white van driving away from the swimming pool where Laetitia was last seen. A white Renault Traffic with a license plate beginning with the letters FFR. Prosecutor Michel Bourlet began to investigate.
Voilà, j'ai un début de plaque sur telle marque de voiture.
I had the beginning of a license plate and a make of car to work with. There were 20 names that matched, and the police officer said, among these 20 names there is a certain. And he said that with a Flemish accent because he was Flemish. Dutroux. This name sounds familiar. So I asked, who is this Dutroux? He's a man who lives in Charleroi, who owns a white van with a license plate beginning with the letters FFR, who was sentenced in 1989 on multiple abductions and rape charges to 13 years in prison. So he is a high-profile suspect.
Donc c'est un personnage important.
One of the police officers working with Michel had been involved in a separate investigation called Operation Othello, led by authorities in Charleroi looking into Dutroux's movements.
He provides us with all the information from that dossier, which he had been collecting since July 1995. We are currently in August 1996.
La cellule centrale de Bruxelles sur cet individu.
Investigator Michel and his partner Jean-Marc Connerot found even more damning information in the Othello file. The testimony of a man who'd been approached by Dutroux to help him kidnap girls.
He had asked a certain Claude Thiraud from the Charleroi region, who is also a fugitive who needed money. He said to him, "I'll pay you to help me abduct girls." But this guy was a police informant, so he went and told the gendarmerie. There's a guy named Marc Dutroux who lives there. He offered me money to kidnap children.
With such strong evidence, obviously Mr. Connerot and I decided immediately to take major action concerning Marc Dutroux.
Michel and his team were planning a synchronized raid on all 7 of Marc Dutroux's Charleroi homes. If they could find him, it may lead them to missing 14-year-old Laetitia Delhay. And there was a good chance that she may still be alive. But they needed to act fast. On the 13th of August, over 40 Special Ops police officers took part in a synchronized raid on all 7 of Dutroux's properties in Charleroi.
Donc je me trouve là vers 1h de l'après-midi au siège central.
At about 1 in the afternoon, I was at the headquarters of the gendarmerie of Charleroi at the very moment when Mr. Connerot received the news that in one of the properties in Salle-le-Bousier, Dutroux was found with his wife and the vehicle.
Avec la voiture.
This was the time to act, as it seemed that Dutroux was about to change the license plate on the van.
De changer la plaque du véhicule.
Dutroux, his wife Michel Martin, and an accomplice, Michel Lalièvre, were taken in for questioning. Over several hours of interrogations, all 3 maintained their innocence.
So there's this terrible thing going on behind closed doors and people just aren't seeing it. People aren't wanting to see it. Even the police are not joining up the dots and finding out what's really going on. So this is allowed to just bubble away and get worse.
After evading capture, Dahmer was free to continue.
There was two sides, really, to Dahmer's pleasure that he got from killing his victims. So he was a sadist who enjoys the pain and suffering of other people. And with sadists, that thrill ends when the victim dies. But Dahmer was also something of a necrophiliac who was interested in having corpses around and doing things with those corpses. And that means that the thrill starts with death. So he has this continuous fulfillment going on. And he's always fully in control. And I think that's what's really at the root of Jeffrey Dahmer. It's power and it's control, and it's the feeling that he has all this knowledge about what he's done and nobody else quite knows what he's up to.
By July 1991, Dahmer's desire to kill had become insatiable. In just 16 days, he murdered 4 more men, bringing his total number of victims to 17. But Dahmer's reign of terror was about to come to an end. On July the 22nd, he met a man called Tracy Edwards.
While they were together in the apartment, Dahmer threw a handcuff on him. This was now the beginning of his ritual. Dahmer had taken photographs of his victims in various stages of dismemberment, Polaroids. And those were sitting on the dresser inside the bedroom. They weren't sitting out in the main living room, but there was some speculation that Tracy Edwards had perhaps seen that. And he ran out of the apartment in his underwear, ran down the street, and when he saw the police car, Tracy Edwards has said his intention was just to get the handcuff off. That's all he wanted. He stopped these cops to say, hey, can you just get this off of me? So he stopped, and the officers start talking to him about what he saw, and then they said, well, we should probably check this out. Let's all go back to the apartment. Dahmer answered, and the minute he saw that it was the police, he tried to shut the door on them. The police pushed the door open a bit. They started struggling with him, and then finally, he just gave in. And that was when Dahmer was officially finished. He was finished killing, and he knew that he was finished.
The police officers immediately arrested Dahmer after finding the remains of some of his victims in his apartment.
They saw the body parts, and then one of the officers said he heard a scream. Then he realized later he was the one who screamed when he saw the body. So they knew they were dealing with a very serious offense. Dahmer did not resist, a little slight resistance, but Dahmer was taken into custody, and the investigation was initiated.
What followed was an incredible media circus on Dahmer's doorstep, as unbelievable stories about what was being uncovered inside his apartment were revealed.
It was so fantastical that you think people are making it up when they're telling you the details. But as it turned out, they weren't making it up. All of the atrocities that we heard about that had happened in that apartment really did happen.
The medical examiner who was called to the scene didn't know what was happening. It was so strange. There was a freezer there, bodies, parts in the freezer, called in a hazmat crew. Well, our television stations cover the police radio. When they hear that, they dispatch crews there. The first day was local television, second day, national television. By the third day, it was international television.
They were able to show video of these items coming out of the front door of this apartment building that's not usual at a crime scene. We saw a large blue barrel in which we know that Jeffrey Dahmer was trying to dissolve body parts. They had a refrigerator that was holding skulls and also was holding body parts. So these were coming down the stairs, and people were just incredulous to watch it. When I wrote the story for the Milwaukee Journal that morning, and it was released in the paper about 8 o'clock, I think, in the morning. Normally we were an afternoon paper, but we went out early with it because it was such an incredible story.